What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. So, y'all ready for a double whammy of My Hero Academia Recussions, because we did not have one last week, so we're doing last week and this week's chapter together. So let's just go ahead and hop right on with the first chapter of the day, chapter 298. So let's just go ahead and get right on into this. Alright, y'all, so I just got done rereading this chapter. I think this is the third time that I've read it. I'm talking about chapter 298, by the way. Something that's very interesting. Destroyo, I think it was his name, the president of the Liberation Army, saying that he's worn two faces, and ever since the war in Daika City, from the My Villain Academia arc, that there's literally been two of him. And so he's talking to the safety commission. They're talking about how they always had their eye on us, or on them. When I was led to believe that you couldn't ignore our products anymore, both my faces were overcome with joy, short-lived though it was. But now to come at us with such fire and brimstone, isn't this a system you built up, your law and your order? We seek order without order, true freedom through liberation. I don't know if this might be just a part of, I think like I said, I think his name was Destro or something, or Redestro. I don't know if this is part of his quirk or not, where he's able to split himself, because I know, like, his quirk, from what I remember, his quirk is basically the more stressed he is, the more powerful he becomes. Or I think I saw somewhere where someone said that twice he was able to make a clone of Redestro or Redestroy or something, whatever, how you pronounce his name. And if that's the case, interesting. If not, if that's just part of its quirk, interesting. Either way, but it looks like this one that's talking to the safety commission is starting to, like, melt away, I'm guessing, because it looks like I don't know if he's either, like I said, I don't know if he's either melting away, or if he's just like, one of the people that's with attacking him has some sort of like earth quirk, because he's fused into the ground. So he's either melting or he's like being forced into the ground. 6 hours after the attack on Tartarus, which was the super prison for really dangerous quirk users, you basically see All For One going around through all these different prisons, attacking them, and just having these massive jailbreaks. A fun little Easter egg. One of the villains on I'm reading this on the Viz website or whatever on my PC, and interesting, pages 4 to 5. You can see Venom, like a rock Venom from Spider-Man, because he's got like the white eyes with the long, large fangs and everything. So Recussion, showing just another Easter egg for comic book heroes, stuff like that. After that, they escaped. They freed. Okay, so the way how this is worded, the escaped prisoners from Tartarus and the near high ends proceeded to attack. Okay, 7 other prisons, freeing additional convicts from 6 of them. So they attacked 7 and they freed from 6. I don't know if maybe there just wasn't one of the jails, there just wasn't really anybody worth it, or if they just didn't have enough time to actually try to free people. So now this is coming up with like something that I've had a question about ever since I originally read this chapter last Sunday. The way how it's shown on page 6, you see All For One talking through Shigaraki, and he's just talking. Spinner's just like, we got along more than I thought. Bonded over gaming and stuff, but who are you? You're not the guy I agreed to follow. And All For One says, have no fear. I hold the greatest respect for Tomoru's will. And the reason why I say I don't quite understand this is on page 7. We see All For One behind Shigaraki talking. But on page 6, I don't know if just like the speech bubble is covering him up or anything, or if this is more of a kind of like a mental force type spirit thing, if that makes any sense, to where since he's talking through Shigaraki, he's actually in the background, or if he's actually there, because the way how Spinner's talking to him, it's like, All For One isn't there. So that's just something that, maybe some people it was obvious, but to me that's just something that I was just kind of confused about. We cut to 2 days later. We see Bakugo waking up in the hospital. He's Bakugo wakes up. He starts trying to tear everything off, and then we see the rest of Class 1A, or not the rest, but Seto, Invisigirl, Mineta, and Sugar Rush dude walking and saying, "Oh, he's awake." Oh, and Bakugo's just like, "Shut up! Where the hell am I?" His little brash ass little self. And they're like, "Hooray! That's your short fuse freak we know." And he's just like, "Don't brush me off like that." They're basically in a top of the line, state of the art hospital. Students are talking about, "Oh, thank goodness we heard you took one nasty beating." That you're like stabbed in the guts. So Minato just comes up and he's just like, "I'm so glad that you're alive, even if you're a horror punk." But Bakugo's like, "What about Deku and Todoroki and Sensei or Senpai, Endeavor, Sero, Sugar Rush dude, and Invisigirl, who you can't really see?" I'm assuming she's giving a despairing look. What's going on? So we cut to Gran Torino, and if you since a week later, everybody should have seen this by now, but the Yoshi doctor saying both you and Gran Torino would have been worse off if you'd gotten any attention later. You can thank Rocklock and the others for making your lives top priority. He's footless. He lost a foot. That's actually something I just now noticed. I just realized that's what they were showing was he doesn't have a foot anymore. Aizawa. Okay, so and going back to Gran Torino, he has a broken leg and what looks damn, Aizawa got the shit in the deal right here. He lost a leg, but Gran Torino just got maybe a few broken bones. Aizawa's basically saying, "I don't care. What are the kids? Are they okay?" And then we got over to Shoto, four-limb eye guy, Kaminari. Not Kaminari, but damn. Kirishima, Momo, and I can't think of her name, but you know what I'm talking about. Acid Girl. I see a huge crowd outside, and they're just like trying to demand answers because, Endeavor, Davi, they want to know what the fuck is going on. Kirishima's basically saying, "Don't let it get to you, dude. It'll be alright. We saw it, Todoroki. We know about the situation. It's gonna be okay." We see some people walking in, and they're like, "Are you affiliated with Endeavor? What's his status? You gotta know, right? And is he even aware of the terrible state Japan's in right now?" People want to know, what's his connection to Davi? When can we expect a press conference? We need some reassurance. We need to know. And then cuts back to this random I think this was maybe whenever they were fighting his brother, the ice one. You just got this random sage looking dude with a tall hat saying his shining light beckons the dark. It precipitates our demise. Now Shoto's throat was burned by Davi, so he can't talk. But he's basically saying that his flames are stronger than Dad's, and that he couldn't win with firepower alone, and that his flames were so full of hate, and that he's been watching them all this time, all to bring down Dad, wrecking his own body along the way, and not giving a damn about whose lives he's ruined. And he's basically saying, he's basically me. That he was also burning with rage up until that day, and he realizes, Dad can't do it. I have to be the one to handle my brother Toya. And then Shoto's older brother and sister walk in. Okay, so I think the person behind them might be his mom, because they're just looking. He's just like, huh? So it's probably Shoto's mom. Bakugo being Bakugo just walks through. He's like rushing through, and he's like, "They told you not to be up and about. All this strain is gonna kill me even harder." And there's no stopping him. He's like, and so Bakugo's like, he's dead meat if he thinks he can die on me. And so it cuts back to Sero and Sugar Rush dude talking about all of them are conscious except for Deku, and that he's shown no signs of waking up. We see All Might next to him with Deku, pretty much in a more or less a full body cast. His arms are wrecked, his legs are wrecked, being held up, and that's the end of the chapter. So, what did I think of the chapter? Honestly, I think this was a really good chapter. I've been saying this for the longest time, that I wanted to get to a point to where we can actually see the repercussions of the war. I'm I'm at a point now to where Deku not waking up, I one or two things is going to happen. We're either going to cut to a like I think I would call this like the one mindscape where All for One and the previous One for All users reside at together. So I think what's going to happen is Deku's going to be in a coma for a little bit longer, and that while he's in the one mindscape, he's going to find out. I believe it was the fourth user of All for One or One for All. Every time I get those two mixed up, but the fourth user where they're like, why don't we know anything about him? And so he pops up and starts talking to Deku. Like he has avatar state. He talks to the past users to try to learn more, and that's what causes him to wake up somehow. And this is something that I've just like ever since they brought this up. Eri comes in, tries to wake him up, and by waking him up, his arms and legs are healed. I don't think Horikoshi would do something like that, but when you introduce something, what happened with Mirio, that idea that could happen makes me just okay. I'm not that worried. Like until we come up with like a hard rule set for how Eri can use her powers, especially when it comes to healing people, I'm not gonna. It's one of those things. It's like no matter what happens, I'm just gonna think, okay, just go get Eri to go and heal them. She's done it before. Maybe she can do it again. So maybe she can only rewind so much at a time. Like I said, it was like about 6 to 8 months that from Mirio losing his powers to the war of him getting his powers back. I think he said it was been half a year, so about 6 months. So maybe Eri can only do 6 months, and that's it for another 6 months, so she can build up her reserve. I don't know. Until it's properly set out rules and explained to me, that's always going to be in the back of my mind. I'm definitely curious about the Redestro thing. Like, does this mean one got away, one's in jail, or they both in jail now, or is it like a twice thing where one can die and the other one's good? Definitely excited to kind of see some of the new villains they broke free, especially this like I said, the Venom looking dude. I definitely want them to explain, like, maybe, like I said, this very well could just be me misinterpreting the scene, but I definitely want them to just pretty much like just point blank say it. All for One's talking through Shigaraki, so he's somewhere else. Maybe he's with his League of Villains and Shigaraki's with his. That's just the one thing I'm just not 100% certain. Definitely, and again, I definitely want to see what happens with Gran Torino, because that motherfucker's got some damn good luck if he's still alive. Aizawa losing a foot, I'm like, again, this just comes back to the Eri situation. Could she possibly bring back his leg? Like, could that happen? Or his foot or whatever? Or is it like because it's been cut off, it's cut off? And people are like, well, Aizawa wouldn't want Eri to do it anyways. I'm like, Eri probably was going to try to do it anyways, no matter what they said. She was like, no. At least, and I don't mean that in like a mean way or anything, but it's just like Eri owes Mirio, Aizawa, and Deku a lot. And they wouldn't want her to do something like this, but she might, like want to do everything she can to help them. Like, inspired by Deku, trying to help everybody, she's going to want to do the same thing. So that's, again, until it's specifically stated in the story from these characters, that's when my mind's gonna go to that every single time. Every single time something goes wrong, I'm like, okay, well, they got Eri. Again, she's like the Dragon Balls of the My Hero verse right now, for the most part. Again, like I said, I'm pretty sure that's Shoto's mom in the hospital with his older siblings. So I'm very curious to see how that's gonna go. Is she gonna go and try to talk to Endeavor, which I don't know if that's I don't think she should. or maybe she's going to apologize to Shoto for, burning his face. Very curious about to see what happens with Deku. That's it for chapter 298. We're going to hop over to 299 in just a minute, so I'll see you there.
What's going on, y'all? Part 2, so chapter 299 of our double review for My Hero Academia Recussion. So let's just go ahead and get right into it. So what did I think of this chapter? Honestly, I think this is a really good follow-up, or I guess a follow-up chapter from last week. Don't get any more with the kids and over in the hospital, so what we're doing instead is we're getting more of the backstory for Hawks. We find out how whenever he was a kid, he didn't actually really think the heroes were real. It was like anime for him. We see more about his situation with his dad, the abuse that he went through with him. Basically, his dad killed somebody over some chump change back in the day and got pregnant, and he got his mom pregnant, gave birth, and so his dad was kind of using him to help out with crimes. And he's basically saying if only she hadn't gotten knocked up, the Hawks wouldn't have been born, and he would have been free as a bird. We get to see why he loves it. We already kind of knew why he looked up to Endeavor as much as he did. Endeavor was the one who arrested his dad. We see this really nice moment after his mom tells him that Endeavor arrested his dad, that his little Endeavor plushie or whatever, he's fantasy finally became reality. And we just see pretty much like Toy Story, just like Endeavor, the Endeavor plushie just walking, and Hawks is just wow. And because of this, the mom's just we need to run away. We gotta get out of here. Police are gonna, get us in trouble. We see when the safety commission comes and takes Hawks away from his mom, puts him into the safety commission, and allows him to become who he is. Then see Hawks and Best Genus riding together in the Genus Mobile. I don't know that's what I'm calling it. And they're talking about how Genus faked his death and everything. Pretty much in a lab where the Nomas were at, so that's why he was able to stay safe. And then Hawk says that he basically revived them at the perfect time. In this little town that they're at, in the Genus Mobile, this is actually really cool. He's able to shoot his fibers out of the car, and he apprehends this gang from the Glutton God gang. And he's just sorry about the bombastic, I'm still not that good. And Genus asks the citizens, where are the local heroes and the police? And the citizens reply, after the criticism, a lot of the heroes just packed up and skipped town. And the cops, they're dealing with the escaped prisoners. We see this one guy in the back who's got a rope, he's got a prosthetic arm, right? He's who needs heroes anyways? While he's just holding on to his arm. And Genus says, I'm just going to assign sidekicks to the neighborhood. And he's just thinking to himself, here too. We then cut to the house that Hawk's mom got put into after, getting all the money from the safety commission. And he's just there's something I need to confirm. He walks in, and she left a note saying, a group of some bandits, they barged into the house and threatened me about our family, so I had to tell them about you and your father. I'm really sorry. I don't want to cause you any more trouble, so I'm leaving. Please be well. I'm so very proud of you. And that's how Davi found out the truth about. And Genus is this is how painful. It's like a pair of too tight skinny jeans, and God, I can't deal with this puns. I can't deal with the jean puns. And Hawks is it's whatever. Erasing the Takumi name already severed any ties between us. And that he was fine with that. Not saving her and turning my back on her. Just a guy who wants to help people. And it's actually a relief. So he's free because the safety commission is effectively shut down, and he's free of his shackles. And it cuts back to whenever your father doesn't need to know about this. I wouldn't stop whining about getting out of the house, so she did it to shut me up. And that's how he got his Endeavor plushie. After that, basically we see the first time, or at least I believe one of the first time that Hawks uses his powers to help people. And you just see this really adorable image of just baby Hawks just hugging the Endeavor plushie as tight as he can be. Hawks is basically saying even if what Davi says about the Todoroki family is true, that he realizes that things are different now. There's a lot for him to clean up, and starting with his origins, so to speak, and that Endeavor's in trouble. So what do I like about the chapter? Honestly, it was a relatively short, clean chapter. We got to experience Hawk's backstory, why he loves Endeavor so much and why he looks up to him. And he's determined to pretty much
help prove, maybe not help prove Endeavor's innocence, because he's not, Endeavor isn't innocent, but clean up his name and prove that he is a different person, I guess is the way how I'm going. He wants to prove that Endeavor has changed and that he is worthy of being called a hero, or at least that's how I'm reading it. It's really interesting to see more of, and a good panel. And something that's really interesting is like you see this one panel after Genus comes in and rescues like the citizens or whatever. You have like a few people who are like cheering him on, and then you have a few people who are just like looking at him with utter disdain, which is it. This is what I've really been interested in seeing is more of. I kind of want to just have a couple chapters of more reactions of both pro heroes quitting and normal citizens, just their reaction, like more day-to-day life. Like, even if it's, I'm sure while reading it, it might, I'll be the first to admit, there might be a few chapters where I'm just like, okay, can we go back to the main story? But I still want to at least see more of this, even if it's not a full dedicated blown chapter, but a few just different panels of like people having these talks or whatever, just so that way we can see more of the impact that the last arc has. But other than that, I think this was a very good chapter. I really loved getting to actually see Hawk's backstory a little bit more, and also the Genus Mobile. That shit's just that is just so cool. And honestly, I kind of wanted to just see more heroes like who don't have, like who just see with vehicles like this who can't fly or have super speed or anything like that. Because that's actually, I want to see more of this because it brings like a little bit more of like Batmobile type feel, or Spider-Mobile. So that's just actually pretty cool. I really like to see that. But other than that, I hope y'all enjoyed this little back-to-back 2-in-1 chapter of Recussion from My Hero Academia. If you'd like to see a little bit more of, maybe instead of a weekly My Hero Recussion, if you want to see like 2 or more chapters in it, let me know, and I'll start rearranging a little bit more of a schedule differently, and we can just go from there. But either way, once again, like I said, if you made it this far, thank you so very much. I want y'all to have a fantastic day, and I'll see y'all later.